Hi, Ivy. There we are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, again.
Good.
I was late coming on too because I was having like a real life conversation with my business partner, my colleague here in the studio. We have this kind of routine of kind of just talking through, whatever it is the topic. We just kind of have some issues and we just talk it through, and maybe some topic that I'm going to be talking about. I bounce off of him first, and the conversation kind of just went on. I looked up and it was 10 o'clock, so I like ran in here and forgot my coffee. I just have my water here, but still
Um,
another Alex special still, so it's all good.
that see, it's good stuff. It's still core conversations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Still wondering when I'm gonna receive my mug, but
I okay.
I
Right.
know be in the cold.
Yes. Well, when you come up here and we get to hang out in Toronto, we'll hook you up.
All right, all right. I'm counting on it. No,
Mhm.
I for some reason Instagram doesn't work at all on my iPad anymore. I mean, I can watch it. Thank you, Jason. It's good new skin products. It makes me look dewy. Um, but yeah, no, I can't go live at all on my iPad. And I think Instagram's trying to tell me something. And then I've had no sound here today periodically. So if I lose it again, I'll have to log off and shut my phone down and come
Come
back
back
up.
in.
But I'm back. Anyway, so good to see you.
Good to see you. I feel like there's this like 10 o'clock sized void in my life right
Oh,
now.
oh, Martin, I tell you, I
Yeah.
so look forward to these conversations. And coming off of Pilates on tour, I'm extra amped.
Are
And
you?
yes, a little bit behind in some of the other things that I have to do, but it's really because I'm basking in the afterglow of such a fabulous event. Tammy
Really?
there, Tammy on the call. Um,
Yes.
it was just really, really lovely to be in person again with my peeps, my Pilates people, and
Mhm.
meeting people who have become social media friends. And, people say that social media is crap, but I have to tell you what, seeing people that I've only known in this dimension for so
Mhm.
long, it literally was an emotional experience. I
Yes.
had all kinds of feels all weekend.
Yes, it was wonderful.
It really was.
I'm sure it was. How did it feel? I'm making total assumptions with this question.
Okay.
How did it feel meeting people that have such admiration for the work that you're doing?
Strange. It's not often that I am at a loss for words, as we know. Um, but to meet people and have them say things to me like, I feel like you've been teaching to me since the pandemic started and we've never met. And yet I feel like I mean, it was truly, truly humbling. Like it's hard for me to talk about because I was so very humbled by,
I could see just like the sense of overwhelmed by just that.
well, it's like I said, I'm so grateful.
Mhm.
I'm really, really grateful for the people in our community that want to be a part of a community. And,
Yeah,
the people that can tear down, anyone can tear something down, but the
right.
people that want to be a part of something that is positive and putting good things out there. And I really feel like Pilates on Tour in general is a great event for that. But this one, the first one back after so long, it was extra meaningful. At least it was for me.
Yes. Sweet.
Oh, Jason says, as someone who has never done Pilates and am inflexible,
Hmm.
I take a lot away from these conversations and videos. It takes a village, and these discussions frame my days positively so much.
Amazing.
Jason is amazing in his own right, right?
Okay.
So, Jason, I'm going to spill on you just a little bit. During the pandemic, when the world was on fire, that's when Jason and I met virtually. He was picking up and moving across country, across climate zones, starting a new career. And you know, we've been in touch through all of this, and he's not a Pilates person, but he's a big thinker and has big things to put out there. And he sells really great dirt. If you're a plant person, call me Plant Daddy. I believe that's right. I bought dirt from him that I still have, and it is amazing dirt. But besides the dirt, you know, again, we meet people from all aspects of life who do very, very different, interesting things that help us grow in
Yes.
ways that we just never thought we would. And it's the part of humanity that is the good part, you know, it's
Yes.
the part that really I think we should be focusing on and emphasizing as we continue to grow forward, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, that there are plenty of people out there doing amazing things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I think that's why I had to ask a question about the admiration, because we're having these conversations. It's all love.
It's dirt. He's got dirt in his eyes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes.
You know, I met Tammy, who,
Yes.
you know, again, we met here online, and she's taller than I thought, but then again, in my mind, I'm really tall. So I don't know how that works out, but you know, I was teaching a workshop and I was still a little bit in my nerves, and I look over and there's Tammy, and she's taking my workshop, and she's on the floor. I forgot we were doing some sort of contortion, and it was just like, I'm home with my people.
Yes. That's how I envisioned it. It was that sense of being home with your people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was phenomenal. I even stayed for the dance party on Saturday night, which I don't normally do, but I might have shaken a tail feather or two. Then the next day I might have thought I broke my hip, but that's a different story. You know, it was great. And Nikki Taylor Stewart was there, of course. I did call you out. That's my nature, Tammy. Nikki was there, and I said, "Oh, since you're here, be
Hey,
my
body.
workshop buddy." Yes, so she
Yeah.
my body, and she demoed, and you know, no ego, just joy. It was a lot of fun.
Troy was there too?
Troy was there. Troy came in and he was watching my workshop, which made me a little bit nervous because, like, you know, I think Troy is super amazing.
Yes.
So yeah, it's back to that question. It's motivating, it's empowering,
Yes.
and it just makes me want to do more, makes me want to get out there and see more of our people, you know, and be
Yes.
in space. It's great.
Love
PMA
it.
weeks.
Yes. I think Kaylin's on here too.
Yeah, I thought I
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
by.
She was, I don't know, I think she's walking. But yeah, no, it's that's good. I kind of live vicariously through it. I just kind of from a distance, like, yeah.
You know what, Martin? Pilates on Tour, Monterey
Monterey.
in February. I see you reaching for your pen. That's right. First full week in February. It's that week. And, you know, take this show on the road.
Yes.
The call, yes, you have to experience it. Nobody does it better than Balanced Body. I'm not just plugging that because I do work for them. I think that it's really great, and they have the best food. The best food. It's not typical like fitness conference food where they give you bars, twigs, and berries, and if you're lucky, wheatgrass shakes.
Yeah.
It's actually real food that you want to eat, and you might even have seconds. Just saying. Will it come to Toronto? Oh gosh, I hope so.
Did it ever?
It should be. I don't think they've had one in I know they've been to fitness conferences in Canada, but they've not had a POT in Canada. But I'll put it out there.
Yeah, exactly. I know some people.
Yeah,
I think we
yeah,
know some people.
absolutely.
Um, what else was I gonna say? Victor was there too. I haven't chatted with him in a long time, but we had one of the funnest conversations on Core Conversation with him. Just laughed our way through it.
Victor is the funniest guy.
Yeah,
And when I met Victor, Victor was the most serious guy.
yeah,
He was serious. He was like thumb on the aneurysm that's about to explode serious. And now he laughs and he's got such a gorgeous smile. So when he smiles, his whole face lights up and so does the room. He's
yes,
just got high energy. He's a lot of fun. I don't know if you've ever had Erica Quest on this show, but if not,
yes, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
good.
Erica's good.
He was there, and Erica's like,
Yes,
he makes the Energizer Bunny look like he has narcolepsy. Um,
right.
it's just,
Yeah,
there was so much energy. The Pilates Anytime people were there. John Marston was there. Just good stuff.
Leslie Logan too.
Leslie was there and her husband Brad.
Yeah, Brad's awesome
And
as
I
well as
have
Leslie.
a little video of Brad doing a high kick that I will post.
Okay.
Epic. It is an epic high kick if I have ever seen one. So I'm just saying, just putting it out there.
And our friend Jenna Zaffino, did you get a chance to connect with her too, or
I
no?
did not connect with Jenna Zaffino because I was so slammed and busy, but I'm going to go back. So
Yeah,
I'm going to make sure I get in to see her. I was bummed that I didn't get to make it work. I was
yeah,
so tired. Martin, I got home Sunday night at like 10:30 and I was useless all day.
yeah, yeah.
Sentences. I'm just out of sync. Help you meet the people at the PMA for sure, Kaylin. We'll make a date. We'll meet all of the people. I think that it's really important that we make these contacts
Absolutely.
together and in person because again, you don't know who you're missing or what you're missing until you put yourself out there. And the nice thing about it is hopefully, I mean, one of the neat things about this conference that I've never felt before at a Pilates conference is the fact that even though you have people of different, eras, people who've been in the business for a long, 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 long time, there was not that sensation of, well, I'm here and you are
Yes.
somewhere out there.
Right.
It wasn't that at all. And so when people would come up to me and say, oh my God, I'm like, no, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not anything like that. I'm me and I'm happy to meet you.
Yes.
Anyone who knows me knows I bring people along. And so I think it's important to
Yes.
meet people and introduce people and pay it forward.
Absolutely. That reminds me, my son had his 20th birthday last Thursday.
Ooh, happy birthday.
Yes. And we did like a dinner for him and like just met at a restaurant and stuff. And I saw him do this where like all his friends are in one area and then some of his friends were kind of like down away from the group and he's like, hey, come on over, right? So he has a sense of, I've seen him do this in the past where he's like, make sure that this person is included in the conversation. As simple as move to this seat over here.
Yep.
Like one of my friends, when they moved back from Japan, their son was coming into this youth group, and like Aaron brought him around and introduced him to people, and kind of, and so my friend was saying, the fact that Aaron did that for his son was a game changer and helped him with this transition coming back to Canada from Japan. So I've seen that sense of him welcoming people and bringing people into the fold and including people in just an organic way that I had to say that. I was doing my little speech. I was saying like, that's the thing, like you making everyone feel like they belong.
And doesn't that make you feel good too? When you see that your child
Yes.
is doing that and you don't have to cajole or coerce or slide them a fiver. They just do it on their own. And,
Right.
it's really, belonging is so important,
Mm-hmm.
and so many people, for whatever reason, don't ever feel like they belong. I never felt, as social as I am, it's really just a sham. But
That's so strong.
it,
Yeah.
it's true. I'm a person that looks, I guess I make it look easy
Mhm.
but it's not. In various times in my life, it's been almost excruciating.
Mhm.
And I think that's why it's so important to me to make sure that I'm making introductions with people and for people and to people, is
Yeah.
because, if I struggle and people tell me I make it look easy, I
Mhm.
can imagine what it feels like for somebody who is really, really struggling. I'm looking at them and it's looking very, very difficult.
Yes.
Nobody should feel like they can't advance or even just make friends just because they have this fear or
Right.
loathing of social situations, but they know they need or want to be there. Like, if
Yes.
I can help somebody over that hurdle, then it's a win.
But I think that's that admirable quality that, in my opinion, is true leadership, because everyone in the room feels that, but only a few people will step through that threshold and do something about it.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree.
Right. That's the conversation that Andrew and I were having just before it came on screen, is that even in our area, the sense of like certain people feel a certain way, or they're stoic, or they look at you and they're not welcoming, belonging, and all those things. You can still walk into a room with your confidence and build that bridge that they were willing to build.
100%.
So that's what we're saying, is that like, I own the bridge. You don't own the bridge. I own the bridge, and then I choose who's going to come across and welcome you in, whatever. You don't own the bridge and have the gate so no one can come see you.
Right. Right. It's like the toll taker. What's that
Mm,
person called? The toll taker.
the
Whatever.
toll taker, for the
Yeah.
sake of the story. Yes.
Yes, because I never know when it's called until 3 in the morning when I can't sleep.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I think, and I feel like there's a lot of people who are quick to profess that they're, but when you talk about different leadership styles, it's much more of an authoritative type of, I lead, you follow. If you don't follow in the right way, if you're not wearing the right pants, whatever it is,
Mm,
then I'm not going to deign you sufficient
yep.
enough to follow me. And, or you can follow, but you have to keep your mouth shut, whatever that
Right.
is.
Right. Yeah.
And to me, that is not leadership. Maria was
Hey,
presenting
Maria.
virtually this weekend.
Oh, was
Um,
she? Nice.
yes, I think that leaders remember what it was before they became leaders,
Mhm.
what it took to get to that place of leadership. And um, I also think that leaders want to build deep, not broad, right?
Yes. Right.
And so, if we all just remember that, and that's what I loved about this weekend and the lack of hierarchy, is that
Mhm.
at least with all the people that I was bouncing around talking to at 1,000 miles a minute, there wasn't any of that, or at least I wasn't participating in that, because that's not what's important to me about any of it. To me, it's about
Absolutely.
growing people, and watching them grow. My heart grows and I grow as well.
No doubt. Like Kalen's comment here, I love full caps people. I'm always curious to learn more about journeys. And I think that I surround myself with people who love people, because people can sniff it out when someone doesn't truly love people. They're there for the job, they're there for the opportunity, they're there for something other than a true, deep love for people. And I get that.
I wouldn't say that I love people. I would say that I love experiences and I love stories.
Mhm.
And in my love of those things, then I get to the people that I love. But I'm not a people seeker per se.
Yep.
And I think it's a fine difference, but it is a difference. I used to love people, but now I think maybe I'm just a little bit old and jaded.
Mhm.
Um, but right at this stage in my life, it's so much more about the quality of the people that
Yeah.
that I meet and I learn to love
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
about the quantity. I can't play the numbers game anymore. It's too exhausting. It's hard on my energy.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, same. I mean, like I'm an introvert, extrovert, or extroverted introvert, right? If I'm around people enough, I need to be alone. If I'm alone enough, I want to be around people, right? So there's that sense where I need to do both, but still, like, it still comes back to like, I just love hearing people's stories. I just want to engage them. Someone does something to me, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna be so fickle as to cut them off, because the reality is if they change their story, they might be back in the fold again. So I don't hate on them. I just didn't like what they did. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So,
Yes.
oh,
I agree. No, 100%.
yeah. Maria's comment. I always want to listen on your amazing combos here in Barcelona, school pickup times. Thanks, Maria, for popping in.
I hope Jackson's having a good year, Maria. I know it started
Yes.
off a little rocky. Yeah. Maria she's just another one of those people that's so effervescent.
Yep.
And, for those of you who've not experienced Maria Earle and her teaching and her just way, there's just kind of I don't want to call it a sizzle because that's almost ostentatious. It's more of a hum. She has a resonance
Mhm.
that is just so contagious. 100%. That's just amazing people. Caitlin here says, our collective journeys and people's backgrounds are fascinating, and I agree, quality is better than quantity, but I stay open. There are some that don't end up as friends, but I still enjoy the exchange. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Love that. New front teeth. Oh no, did he have to do both of them? Her son had a little oops, like right before school started, and he had a
Oh
tooth
no.
damage situation.
Oh
So
boy.
anyway, well, hugs to him and hugs to you, Mama. I know that that's probably very, very stressful indeed.
Indeed. Indeed. Indeed. It's so like I love doing these conversations, and in the same way, I have this class I put on my schedule. I actually Matter of Movement. Christina is in the chat, and when she was on, I was telling her I have this new class at a gym in the area that I just put on the schedule, partly just to connect with people that are in the area, and also just to scratch my itch for teaching total strangers in the chaos of 27 people in a room with new people every single week. And I'm finding that it's something that kind of gives me a sense of being home, like in this venture of this campaign and meeting new people, and and all the stuff that's so new and different, that's so familiar. And even last night I was celebrating as I was watching the class move and doing my thing, that there was a time when that was so scary.
Mm.
And there's a time, and for people that we teach, and like someone who comes into teacher training with you, where teaching one person is scary, let alone 24 people who think that they've done Pilates before in a room, right? So there's that sense of that is probably the scariest scenario for a teacher. And I was so comfortable. And it's like, there's like my 1 hour a week where I can just do something where I don't have to think. I can just read and react, and like this, like these conversations that can be so scary for someone. My first live, this is my 503rd live, right? You know what I mean? Like there's a sense of these things being so comfortable, and I'm finding like those places of home being like good for me, you know?
Yeah, that's the enrichment, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's something to be said for having to use your brain all the time and like struggle and think and, you know, duck, dodge, parry, so to speak. But then there's something else to be said for just kind of sliding into your groove and finding that place where it's not as much work and you get to just be you
Yep.
and shine in your own way. As many teacher trainings as I do, I say this to every group and they don't believe me, but it's 100% the truth. I will rewrite my teacher training before every weekend, like probably twice,
Yeah.
like top to bottom. It's just something that I do.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of my nervous tics. But and then I end up not using it anyway. I end up just totally flying by the seat of my pants, which really feels good.
Yes. Because you can.
Because I can and because I do know it, but there's just something about that process. And fit for the
Yes.
call. I'm coming for my first class ever with
Yes, Garrett, please
oh,
do. He's in Toronto, so
it's time. It's time.
yes.
This was my first time presenting a 3-hour workshop live at
Oh,
PO.
wow.
And I did
Yeah.
2 of them live, not virtually, in person. And that hit my nerves in a way, plus it being the first one, plus it being POT, plus.
Hmm.
I accidentally poured an entire 32-ounce bottle of water into my bag at 2 o'clock, which was the exact same time that my presentation was starting, and poured it all over
Nice.
my laptop dock. Oh yeah, it was a moment.
Yeah.
um, so, but even that, like being able to still know enough to know that I can just show up
Hmm.
because I've got it. It's in me. And I think that's what works about these conversations too. Thank you, Tammy. Um, Talking is something that comes very naturally to the two of us, but also just as social beings, we pick up a lot. We hear a lot, we see a lot, we feel a lot.
Yeah. It's funny, like you said talking, and I was like, I don't talk. You don't talk. We connect.
But it's we do more than that. We dance, we do all kinds of things. Um,
Yes.
and the talk is the most basic part of what we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, fit for the call. Thanks. That's awesome. Says she has no idea that she is speaking right to me as I had to hear this today. That always, again, that humbles me. That humbles me. So thank you.
Mm.
Um, we all need to be aware of how connected we are
Yes.
and how I may be having this experience this way right now. Um, but you may have had it yesterday or you may have it tomorrow.
Hmm.
And again, using the word, that resonance, that energy, it sits in us.
It does.
Just sharing it with each other and passing it on.
Hmm. Yeah. It's good. It's really good. I feel like there's two sides to me right now, like enjoying this conversation and just seeing how all the work that we've been doing here translates to what I'm doing out there.
Yeah. You know, I have to ask you, how do you think core conversations has affected, how has it affected who you are on the campaign trail
Mhm.
in terms of connecting?
Yes. Sorry, I'm just reading.
I'm
Yes.
too. Oh, let's talk about that first.
Hmm.
Paul says, I literally have tears in my eyes. I'm preparing myself for next year's Can Fit. Put yourself out there everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere, because
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody needs to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely.
So important. And, even if you feel like somebody is maybe saying the same thing, nobody can say it like you do. Never. So whatever you bring to the table, it's going to enrich and enliven somebody.
Somebody. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So fit for the call, Gary. I always say like you play for an audience of one, right? Those are our early conversations, and you know, we could have one person in the chat, or we could have 110 people in the chat. The conversation looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we take from it what we're ready to take at that time.
Yep. Absolutely. So to answer your question, it's funny. Let's read Christina's comment before I answer the question. I feel like the conversation today, likely have made you more open to patient when it comes to receiving information from everyone you're meeting. Yes, and that's definitely part of it. Last night, the very last house that we went to at 11 o'clock at night, we were dropping off signs, doing it under the cloak of darkness, so people wake up to a sign on their lawn and a letter in their mailbox. And this guy was home, and he's like the mayor of the street. and super nice guy. And he said, you know, if I was a young man, I would be running right now because I'm so passionate about my community. And his neighbor said to him, like, you know, you're running right now. Like every time you tell someone about Martin, everyone that you stop and talk to, like he's telling people on the path to walk by his house. I just met this guy all summer, but I have this great feeling about him. And like he's just doing his thing. And it comes from listening to people's stories. He looked in my eyes, he could tell I was just authentic and I really do love people and love my community. And Shannon, your sign's coming at like as soon as I've come off this
You're running
call.
out of time. You better get that signed to Shannon. Good.
I know, right? I should have brought one in for show and tell us in the car. Um, but so between Alex and this gentleman, they were like drawing this analogy between what I'm doing and what Obama did from the perspective of getting people excited about civic engagement.
Well, isn't
People,
that what grassroots is?
that's what grassroots is. But like I was just like, because like he was saying he worked in the States when Obama was just coming up. Like Alex was in Idaho, I think it is, where she got a chance to vote, so she got to vote for him. And there's a sense of this. Thanks, Kaylin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kaylin. 2 weeks, or maybe 3. I can't count. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So with that, just saying like, there's people who never ever would put a sign on their lawn, people who never voted before, people who are asking me, you know, can I get a stack of signs so I can give them out to my complex? You know what I mean? That sort of thing. And it's humbling, but like I think it really just comes back to what we've been doing here every day is like listening to people, hearing their story, getting people to feel like they have ownership in this space. They have ownership in this process of what I'm doing, right? So I think that template of just listening and connecting, supporting, amplifying, connect type thing that we do here, it's a pretty easy transfer to people out there, and we'll just keep rinse and repeat with that with everyone I meet. So
I love every bit of that. You know, it's that web. It's a web. It's I touch you, and then you touch the next person, and you know, I would think that because and what you do about with these calls versus what a lot of other people do with their conversations, you step so far outside of Pilates land quite a bit, and that really allows you, I think, to listen with different ears or different hats or whatever you listen with. But and overall, it just makes you better at connecting just across the board, because then it's almost like every conversation is warm, because the ramp up time when you somebody who you may not know and you don't know their situation or whatever is much quicker, because you know how to navigate conversation, which not everyone does well.
Yes. Thank you, Shanti.
Bye, Shanti. Thank you for being here. And yes, Fit for the Call, I will DM you afterward. Thank you.
Yes. I've seen Fit for the Call use this line before. Unity in the community brings opportunities.
Love.
Yes.
Love. It's true.
Yep.
True. And then when you can step outside of the community and take those opportunities that come out there, that's, you can call it networking, you can call it, you know, mining, you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, it's growth.
It's I consider that just simply enlarging the community.
Yeah, it's true. Shifting the boundary.
Yeah, I can shift that boundary all day. You have a great way of shifting that boundary, people you've had on Thought Flow, right? This is so intriguing, right? So our community gets bigger and bigger.
Sure does. I cannot wait till we're back on live again, Thought Flow. We're going to get through the end of the month, and then we're going to be back up in November. But
oh yeah?
Yeah, planning our guest list. Super excited.
What? You're planning a guest list?
Listen, I'm the planner in our duo. It'll be like, hey, I'm bringing someone on tonight. I'll be like, 3 weeks ahead, I've got this list. So But yeah, we're planning it out. We want to end the year really, really strong before we roll it into podcast format, and
Nice.
you know, taking it bigger, because this high touch via social media format, I think is really important, even though people are getting back into their real lives or whatever
Yeah.
you call it. I think that this piece will always maintain, and it allows us to keep our worlds large. We don't go back to our little suburbs or city corners or whatever. It stays
Right.
big and growing. And Rula popped in earlier. Rula's in Jordan. She's a bounce body person, and
Oh, wow.
you know, I've always wanted to go to Jordan. It's been on my bucket list, I think, since I was a knee biter. And I said to her, "Oh my gosh, you're in Jordan. I had no idea you were in Jordan. I'm dying to go to Jordan. I need to see Petra." And she's like, "Yeah, we make that happen." She is a person that makes stuff happen.
Yes.
But you know, it's that. It's expanding the concentric circles.
Absolutely. Well, I cannot wait. Well, I can't wait, but I'm excited about being able to finally, at some point, travel with you and do this in person. Like we've talked about it, everybody. We've planned it out, sort of. It's definitely going to happen at some point because, even if I'm successful with this, which I feel at this point like I will be, this isn't escaping me. This is what I do. This is who I am, and we'll find a way to make it happen because like there's so many people to hug. I just need to like physically touch these people that we talk with all the time, right? So
It's so true. Martin, I have to tell you, as a person that just did a lot of hugging and I'm not the biggest hugger,
mm,
the power in the hug, man. Even people who like know that I'm not a hugger, like, "Oh, I saw you hugging people." And I was like,
mm,
yeah, I had to. It was just time.
yep,
It feels amazing. We're going
yes.
to big night. Yeah, we are.
Christine's comment for yes, the big expansive communities, we can never go back to the way it was.
No, no.
Oh, on a sidebar, matters of movement. How are your goats doing? She has like these cutest. She has goats. She has goats.
Goats?
Hmm.
Okay, I,
If,
listen, I love the idea of goats because we have a large lawn. And we actually contemplated getting goats, but you have to have like 10 acres and we only have 2. So the municipality will not allow us to have goats, but I think goats are a fantastic idea. And they're cute when they faint, though I don't want them. Not my jam.
no, Christy, if you want to come on and talk about your goats
I
instead of
want to
Pilates or
hear
movement,
about these goats.
yes.
Very important. So
Before I got too busy, I wanted to visit her when they were just being born, but
how
yes.
goats? Are they baby goats? Are there a multitude of goats? Do you have goat parties?
Yeah, come on in if you can, Christina. I know you're.
Could you imagine one of those like silent raves with goats?
No, it never crossed my mind.
I just did, and I feel like it should be an event. A silent rave with goats. We need to make this happen.
A silent rave with. I can't even picture what that looks like.
It looks crazy in my head.
You're probably right. Yes.
It has to happen. It has to. So on my bucket list for 2020, what's the year coming up? 23.
Yes.
There are a few things. Now we're at high. Brave with goats. A big wheel competition, adult big wheels, of course, because I
Okay.
drift on a big wheel, roller skating party, and lots of travel. So I'm coming up to see your goats.
Are you? I thought I heard you say at some point that you were coming to Toronto. Is that possible? Is that real?
Yes. So I'm going to be teaching in Buffalo when our friend Beth's community situation finishes up. They're doing a lot of construction in her town, and it's affecting her studio. So I'll be teaching up in Buffalo, and then after that, you know, it's just a little trip across the falls.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come up to Toronto and see all of my peeps up there.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
and I really, really want to have a goat, a silent goat party. So we just need to figure out how it looks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
We started off a few years ago with 3 goats, and then my neighbor is a terrible influence. So she says to me, I have a male goat. You want to borrow the male goat? And so then we got more babies, and then we got more babies, and so we just had some babies born at the end of the summer. So, and they're so sweet. They're like, yeah, and they're naughty, which is even funnier because they like, they get into all kinds of mischief.
So the image in my mind was
Here you
a
go.
goat coming over, and you know that song by George Michael, Fast Love? Just a lot. I have to share that moment. If you don't know the song, I'm just saying you might be scarred.
Yeah.
This is very fun though. So like, do they do goaty things around your yard? Like, what do the goats do? They just
I'll sit back while Misty conducts the interview.
Yeah. So they don't. I mean, it would be really nice if we could direct them around, the yard to munch on the grass that we wanted them to, munch on. But that doesn't happen. We have an enclosure, and so they've got a big, wide area to play in and hang out, and they're just for fun. Really, we don't do anything with them. They're miniature goats, so they're even like littler than little. So
Misty's melting.
a miniature silent goat rave
yeah,
dance-a-thon. It's just
yeah,
better by the
yeah. And they're not silent though. They're very noisy.
Oh, no, we have headphones and glow sticks.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing. Come on, people in the
Funny.
have better ideas. I'm just.
Well, I'm happy to meet you. We've never, spoken face to face. We've had some communication back and forth on Facebook off and on and stuff. But anyways, I'm happy to meet you.
Same. Thank you for sharing your goat empire.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to. I love talking about my goats. So
Yeah, she's a pretty good teacher, mover, and thinker too.
Oh, I'm sure there's more to her than just goats.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I had, but goats make it more interesting for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so funny.
How many goats are there?
I think 9 in total. Yeah.
9.
We've got 4. We have 4 babies right now, though, and I am actually trying to sell them, so not have as many, in the near future.
Is there free shipping to Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Just asking for a friend.
Yeah. I wonder if you could they're little enough that you could put them in the carrier, maybe put them under your seat, like in the airplane.
They're that small. Can I have an emotional support goat?
You could totally get emotional support. I'm sure you can get a letter in the municipality. You know what?
Yeah.
I'll look into that for you, Misty.
Yeah. A new adventure coming.
Yeah. They might have an issue with you moving livestock across the border, but like
only if they know.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell the goat to be very, very quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, not going to happen.
Okay, so we've gone from Pilates to smuggling livestock. That's the biggest tangent ever.
Yeah, this
for the record
might be the official. The furthest it's gone.
That's yes.
I mean, leave it to me to run it
I don't
to
know
death.
if you heard, but people do goat yoga. I haven't tried to do like goat Pilates yet.
Yeah, that doesn't super excite me. Like, goat poop on my mat, I can't. Like, even because I'm very particular about my mat. Like, it really is a thing, so I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
Not me, but I bet you goat Pilates could be a thing.
It might be. It might be.
Or just do them separately. Like you could just have goats and you could do Pilates and they could just coexist. They don't have to be together.
If you have a particularly aggressive class in which you need the emotional support goat afterward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phil Griffin just came into the room as we're talking about emotional support goats, and I just want to say hi and sorry for the mad tangent that we're on right now. Hi.
Listen, I mean, we reach many communities, and
Yes.
there's someone out there that may need a goat, an emotional support goat.
Yeah, absolutely. I had somebody messaging me about the goat and saying that they wanted to buy one for their sibling who had anxiety. So I think it's a thing. It's actually a thing.
See?
How long
Yeah.
do these goats live too? Like, I mean,
Like
what's
a long time. They can live, I'm gonna say like 10 to 15 years if they're like, if they've got, good genes and good environment and all of that.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It can be quite a long time. It's like a puppy. It's like a dog.
It's like a dog.
It's almost frightening. Just
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, go.
Okay. I'm gonna pop back out and let you two finish our conversation. No? What?
We got 6 minutes. We've been talking
Okay.
about goats.
Okay.
Like, it's all good.
Okay. Well, we can.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, what do you have going on? Like, you've been working on different things in your business. Let's talk about stuff you do besides goats.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I'm still doing my thing, right? I'm still teaching my two my Tuesday and Thursday night classes online, and I also have a Monday class. I have my online studio that I have built all through COVID. So yeah, I'm still just kind of puttering along, just status quo for the moment. And again, I think I mentioned last time too, I'm going to be doing an Aldoa, level 2 Aldoa training at the end of the month. So that'll be a nice addition to expand my, my repertoire of tools, my toolkit.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you talk at some point just about, I think an important question comes up, and I heard people talking about this at the conference over the weekend, but like, what makes people choose the continuing ed that they select moving forward? Or, how do you choose? I know some people got their initial Pilates training through a particular body that doesn't necessarily allow them to step outside of that for continuing ed. So question kept coming up, and I feel like it would be a really meaty conversation to have, just so that maybe especially people who are newer to the field get a little bit more understanding of how to be discerning. It's not just about taking everything you can, because while that's great, I personally think there are better ways to make choices.
Isn't it? I always thought that people took their CECs, and not just like branded CEC, but just any kind of continuing education around the people that they have in their studio already. Like, I mean, I have people with scoliosis, so I'm going to start taking scoliosis courses, and all of a sudden I'm the expert on that. Like, I don't know, if you're working in a real general population type group area, then that's difficult. But I mean, like, as you start to work with more one-on-ones, that kind of dictates the direction you go, no?
Well, I think that's a big piece of it. I also think that, even if you're working with general population, there's still always ways to niche that down. But I think some people pick niches that really they're not excited about, because they feel like that's the way that they're going to differentiate themselves from their market or whatever it is. And I don't necessarily think that that's a great way
to determine.
I'm not really interested in certain parts of the business, and for me to dive deep into something like that, that's like, so
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I am like super hyper aware of the idea or the concept of kind of like watering down the knowledge that you have, right? Like, you do so many the different things, so you're stepping outside so much that by the time you're done everything, what you're offering is no longer Pilates anymore. It's just like a mixed bag of whatever it is that you're pulling from.
Yeah.
And so I can see why, you know, certain Pilates places will want to, you know, prevent that from happening, or at least discourage people from going that route. So I think it comes to, you get to the point where you have to either like offer one thing and then offer another thing, and maybe mix it up a little bit, but try not to dilute the message too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that in cases that I'm mentioning, just as a bit of clarity, it's the same courses that you would have taken, you know, to get your training. Like,
Right.
so, like the next level chair course, whatever that is, you know, your super advanced chair, your super advanced Cadillac. And how many times can you take that?
Right.
I think that, you know, after the third time you take them for CECs, like, I figure you've got it down.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. I think that I agree with you 100%. There's so much, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. And, you know, I think that you have to look at the business case, I think, for expanding what your course offering is or whatever that is. And sometimes the business case really isn't there. So then wouldn't the case be to find what you enjoy or find what your particular market needs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that down so we can come back to that. And I'd love to like really unpack that, because there's so much in there. And it's one of those things that gives people permission to look elsewhere while they're learning, and then how to bring all that stuff together and formulate what your brand of Pilates is, so to speak, too, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
nice. I'm gonna get cut off here because it's 10:59 and they have a way of doing that to us. So I'm gonna find a way to. Thanks for jumping on, Christina.
Thanks
And
for having me.
I'll make sure I'll take. I'm gonna pass by at some point so I can take some pictures with goats and send them to Misty.
And
Maybe smuggle one.
And
Yeah, we still haven't met each other. We've had many of these conversations, but still haven't met.
Unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, Martin, that campaign's almost over, and when it is,
yeah,
there's a lot to be done.
I know, eh? So
good to meet you. Kind of live.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah.
And we'll meet in person when I get up to Toronto, or you're gonna have to plan a big party.
Yeah,
that'd
be great.
Silent rave.
Bring BYOG.
That's right. That's right. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you guys. Thanks so much. Log it off. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We're out.